I know I've been missing in action for the past week, but there's good reason. Today, I'm going to start a three-part series about the National. Today, I'm going to title this one, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. You ready? Then let's do it. Hello and welcome, rookie card collectors. Victor, the rookie card specialist, coming at you with another episode, and we are talking post-national. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I'll be sharing with you some perspective, some opinion, and part 2 of this series is going to be my primary pickups. And the third video that is going to be released this week is going to be my dollar box pickups. So stay tuned for that. But the week started with me on last Wednesday as I was preparing to leave for the National. I was going to create content while at the National, but once I got there, I realized that I forgot my shotgun mic, I forgot my little mini tripod, and I forgot my my debit card for my card account. I ended up leaving that at home, and it was just a hot mess. So I figured, you know what? I'm not going to create any content because I don't want to create content with poor audio quality, and that's what I would have gotten without it. And I just hate hearing that buzzing noise in the background. And I'm trying to run around and get cameras and then all the equipment. And I said, you know what? I'm glad I forgot the shotgun mic because I decided I'm not going to do content. Not to mention that I did record some things. I did take some pictures, all in the effort for, like B-roll type content that I'll mix in here. But overall, I'm really glad that I didn't put that burden of creating content while I was there. And so with that said, I want to get right into it. We're going to start with the things that I didn't like. So this portion is, we're going to call this, let's call this part the ugly. And I'm going to start with the things in the aspect of the commute. Okay. Now you hear all kinds of things, but it's one thing to hear about it and then another to experience it. I drove into Philly, took a shuttle to pick up my car, and everything went well. I drove from Philadelphia to my hotel room, which was a 57-minute drive, which was not all that bad. Okay. And there was no traffic. Traffic was light, nice, beautiful sunny day, not a big deal. However, the commute home wasn't the same. You don't take the same road going out as you do coming in. So the fastest route from when I was leaving on Saturday afternoon, the fastest route for me was a 2-hour and 17-minute drive to get to the airport. And I couldn't believe I ended up ending route and entered the address again to try to find the fastest route. And my GPS was indeed telling me, no, this is the route. This is your fastest route. This is your only route. So go and let's get moving. So that's what I did. But I just could not believe 57 minutes going in, 2 hours and 17 minutes going out. And there was no traffic. And thank goodness that there was no traffic because I was really pushing it to get to the airport. So that was one of the things I didn't like. The parking over at the convention center was another thing that was kind of brutal. I got there, Wednesday plenty early and followed the GPS, and it led me to right in front of the parking garage, only to find out that the parking garage was closed. And it took me an hour and a half, folks, 1 hour, 30 minutes to find a parking spot. Number one, I don't know where I'm at, right? It's Wednesday afternoon. So they're telling us that I ended up talking to an officer. He says, you got to follow this road around, make a U-turn, go back to where you came from and hang a right. And there's a second garage called The Wave. Go in there. I says, okay, great. That's all right. We got a plan B here. We got a second garage. Well, I crawled my way through that traffic, made it to the second garage, only to find out that it was only open to super VIP passes. So if you didn't have that, you're out of luck. So I couldn't park there. So the only other option was to park on the street. But the problem there was that the parking spaces in the street were running pretty low as well. And after driving around back and forth, I ended up parking inside of a Bass Pro Shop, and that cost me $20 to get out of there. And then the rest of the week, I just parked in the street because every time I went to the garage, it was filled. It was filled by 10:30 in the morning. The garage was full, and I couldn't comprehend or understand what's up with that. But I parked on the street the rest of the week, and that worked. The only problem with parking on the street was there was a 4-hour limit, but it was $10. But I ended up, adapting and conquering type of thing. What I did was I bought a little foam cooler. I filled it up with ice water, and every 4 hours I'd walk out to the car. It was only a block away, so it wasn't a big deal. I'd walk back out to the car, unload my bag with the cards that I bought or whatever, things I had that I didn't want to carry anymore. I just threw that in the trunk, grabbed myself a cold water, and just kind of just refreshed right there in the middle of the street. Then I updated my parking space for another 4 hours for another $10, and I walked back to the show. Worked just fine. It was wonderful, actually, better than I expected. So, but the parking situation in and of itself was an ugly situation. The hotel, I'll tell you, I ended up going about 20 minutes out west into New Jersey just to get I was paying $130 a night. I think it was like $145 with tax and all that, as opposed to $450 a night staying in the by Atlantic City Convention Center. But I tell you, I don't think I'm going to go cheap anymore. And it's not that they treated me very well, very professional, really great place, great customer service. It just, to me, the hotel was a little rundown. It seemed to be like an older hotel. It's a nice hotel, but it just seemed like it was like under construction, or it really was in desperate need of rehab. And just like the overall construction of the room was lacking lacking quality in my opinion. And you can tell. Now, other than that, that was the only issue I had. It was clean, it was quiet, nobody bothered me. Other than that, it was great. I just I don't know that I would go that route if I had a chance to do it again. That's all. And I'm not one really, to get a house or to share a hotel room with somebody. I don't know. I'm just kind of personal or introverted or what have you. I'm just not a big fan of that type of concept. I had a really bad experience with some friends. We went out of town with a couple friends of mine, and it was like I was the last one to fall asleep, and these guys snored like bears for an entire weekend. I dealt with that. And then you got to go in the bathroom and smell other people's junk. I just wasn't a fan of the idea. And it's like, ever since then, I like vowed never to share a hotel room with anybody else. That's just a personal preference of mine. The food, I don't know. I felt like so unhealthy by the end of the week. It's like you eat like junk, like the whole week you're eating on the run. You're just grabbing like bacon cheeseburgers and just stuff in your face on the run. You're getting hot dogs because you're kind of like, everything's like running around. And I don't know, you don't eat very well. You don't eat very healthy at all. And 2 or 3 days of that, man, your system starts to really feel it. At least my system. started, I just felt like like bogged down. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, maybe next time I'm going to carve out some more time to maybe, not be in such a rush to eat, and maybe plan meals a little bit better, make a little bit more time for like a nice restaurant or something. Um, the Atlantic City negative talk. I want to touch base a little bit here. And I've never been there before. This was the first time, and I'm going off of feedback that I'm hearing from other folks, even from people qualified who are from the area, and the armpit of America. And to me, not I was a little harsh, but I get it, but overall, I tell you, I didn't have a bad experience. To me, it's no different than any other city in America. You're going to have, there's going to be garbage. Yes, there's going to be, maybe homeless or addicts, laying around, but that they're not bothering nobody. They didn't bother nobody. They didn't act belligerent or anything like that. It's city life. And that's the kind of the resume in every city you go to in America. It's not just Atlantic City. And I just think that perhaps, I was influenced by other people's comments, and perhaps, I don't know, it's just more fear or our own prejudices that we develop these mindsets. And I felt like I carried that. And I was, once I got there, I was like, man, what's up? This isn't all that bad. I walked back and forth to my car. Nobody ever bothered me, or I never sensed any form of danger at any time. And things were well policed, and at least around the convention center, everything was really clean. And I don't get it. And I guess that was not my experience. I had a very pleasant experience, and I don't want to let people's opinions affect me like that anymore. But that's going to be it for the ugly. Now let's talk about the bad. Okay. Now this is just some things that are kind of obvious, but I want to like update on it just to give you some feedback. No internet in the building. Okay. Duh. That should not be shocking to anybody who is used to that type of venue and that type of a card show. We so many videos, so many articles, so much advice is given. And what do we always say? Make sure you take a paper checklist with you, because you can't depend on the internet. And that was the case. I don't know, and I was reading and keeping up with things while I was there, and everyone's like making a big deal about the internet. To me, that should not be a shocking thing. It's actually expected to have those kind of issues. The internet worked for me. To be honest with you, I had very little issue. The only thing I was getting on was VCP, vintage card prices, and I would click on the app, and I had to sign in, and I was able to get in just fine. Now, at times it would kick me out, and I had to log back in, but for the most part, the VCP app was working great. So kudos to VCP on that. Now, during peak hours, I would say maybe between like 12 and 5 or 12 and 6. Yeah, there was internet issues for everybody. And I can just imagine, what kind of Wi-Fi system can keep up with 20,000 people looking up comps all at the same time. I don't know much about internet, so don't get me wrong there, but I think you're going to have the natural order of things is there's going to be a bog down of the internet. The other thing was, seating was another issue. I'm fresh off of a hip surgery and off of an ankle surgery the year before that. So I was very, the seating, there's like nowhere to sit. You might have, and I did some things that helped me out. I'll get to that in a minute, but there's very few places where you can sit, and so that was a little bad for me anyways. And I know last year in Chicago, but I live locally. I took up a fold up chair. Now I wasn't going to take a fold up chair in on an airplane because that would have been ridiculous. But I know, like, when I go to the Chicago show, I have like this really small triangular chair that unfolds, and I'm able to sit down anywhere. I can lean up against the wall and fold my chair and have a seat for a minute and get off my feet. But that was a bad situation for me. And then let's talk about the shoe thing for a minute, because so much advice is given on, wear comfortable shoes. Well, I can tell you, I have some Brooks walking shoes, and they are very comfortable. The most comfortable tennis shoe I own, but I've had them for about a year. Okay. I took those very comfortable shoes with me to the National, and I was hurting. Come Thursday night, I was limping back to my hotel room. And to me, wear comfortable shoes is not the answer. To me, wear new shoes is the actual right answer. Thankfully, I took 2 pairs of shoes with me. The first pair that I've had for about a year. The second pair was a brand new pair. I bought it specifically for the National, and I ended up swapping shoes Friday, and boy, did it make a world of difference. Friday and Saturday, I was on my feet the entire day, and I was walking on cloud 9, went back to the room without an ounce of pain. So to me, comfortable shoe is not the answer, because I did that. New comfortable shoes is the proper answer, because the new shoe is going to have that support to make it last, for the weekend. So that's the ugly, the bad and the ugly. Now let's move on to the good. So the good is, the things that I did like. Let's talk about that for a little bit. The thing that I enjoyed was all the speculators thinking that, attendance at the National, I don't see a whole lot of people being there this year, only because of the location. There's no way the attendance is going to suffer. Can I tell you, the attendance did not suffer a single bit. As a matter of fact, I'm waiting for the report, but rumor has it that the attendance this year beat Chicago's last year, but that's an unofficial announcement. Can I tell you that there was an enormous amount of people at the National? I would say here's the big difference, and that is in the footprint of the convention centers. Okay. Chicago is smaller, has a smaller footprint, but it has 2 levels. But the National is typically on 1 level. Now, in Atlantic City, it's 1 level, everything, and it is a huge footprint. So the square footage in that building is plenty big for the crowd. And I think that was the determining factor for me, because last year in Chicago, it seemed like we were doing a lot of like pigeon walking, or not pigeon, or penguin walking. We're walking like penguins because there's just so many people. And the problem that we had in Chicago last year was, because of that, it was a distraction on you making purchases or looking at cards, because there's just so many people and so much bumping into one another that it was an actual distraction. And in Atlantic City, that was not the case. We had the same amount of people, if not more, but because of the broader footprint, it was a lot more comfortable to navigate and walk around and go from table to table. So that's huge in as far as making a case for Atlantic City. And I don't know if maybe Chicago, I think a good idea for Chicago would be to put like the autograph pavilion and all the dealers that sell memorabilia, maybe put them on the 2nd floor, if that's a doable thing, and then just keep the corporate and the dealers downstairs. And I think that would kind of like, open things up a little bit more. But, what do I know? I don't know the the logistics behind that. It just sounds like a logical idea, so that we're not penguin walking all weekend. Corporate area. I wanted to talk about that. The corporate area, to me, this year they did a phenomenal job. Now that's going to be mixed opinion depending on your personality type. That's how you're going to base things. But I really enjoyed the corporate area. It was big. There was a lot of people there. There was a ton of giveaways, and that was an area that was just really exciting. I really appreciated the fact that I think it was Fanatics or Tops. I couldn't tell where the speakers were actually placed, but they had like these big, like club speakers, and they were putting music through there, and it really created, and they had it pretty loud too. I mean, you can hear it throughout the whole show, but it brought like a vibe of just excitement. You know what I'm saying? And it attracted the youth, and as you're walking through the corporate area, man, there's just like a vibe of, excitement. And I thought that was really different and a good move overall by the folks who put that together. Thursday night, I went to that YouTube meet and greet, had a fantastic time. There was probably about 60 YouTubers there, if I had to put a number on it. It was a nice surprise to have Dr. James Beckett there with us, and an OG in the hobby. And he like stayed most of the night. He was there for a long time. He wasn't there for 2 minutes and he took off, but he was there most of the night, talking with everybody, shaking everybody's hands, meeting everybody. And I just thought it was just a classy move for Dr. Beckett to be there. And that made it a very memorable. But getting to meet other YouTubers, getting to meet viewers, and just that whole concept of community and fellowship was just it's actually, in my opinion, it's a blessing. That's the part of the national that really edifies you as a content creator, as you're being and meeting your friends in person. And to me, that's priceless. And so had a great time with that. On Friday was a busy day, man. Friday had to be there early. We the Hobby Hotline team was on the main stage, and we were given an hour to kind of do an episode about the National on Friday morning between 10 and 11. And it was a very fast-paced morning on Friday. Then we, immediately after that, we're going to the show and doing that sort of thing. And then by 6 o'clock, I had registered for the PSA dinner that they had, and it was very good time. Had a blast. I was there with a bunch of YouTubers were there. I sat with John Newman and Val and Logan, and we had a fantastic evening, just laughing, talking, eating, and PSA giving us short presentation. Wasn't very long at all. It kept it short and sweet, but gave us a lot of swag, PSA swag, and goodie bags and good food, and had a great time at that. And went back to the hotel. And man, was I beat. Friday night, I was exhausted. And then, Saturday, got up and did it all over again. And thankfully, I left the show around 2 o'clock because I had a 6:30 flight on Saturday. So I left the show, headed to Philadelphia. Thank goodness I left at 2 o'clock because it was a 2.5 hour drive. If I would have left at 3, I would have been in trouble. But made it there safely. And, my strategy for, I'm a big guy. I'm kind of, I need to lose some weight actually. But, so being on my feet for this amount of hours, for this amount of days, eventually starts to take its toll on my body. But I developed a strategy, and that was the Singles Club over at the National. It's a vendor, a very popular vendor. with many folks, but they sell nothing but dollar boxes. But they had a great setup where they had tables and chairs, and then you can just like filter through dollar boxes. Well, I ran into them Thursday evening, and like I told you, that was the day I was wearing those bad shoes, and man, I was in a lot of pain, and I came across their booth, and there was empty chairs, and I sat down, and I was like, oh, thank you. But I started just killing time while I'm there. I'm going to start looking through dollar boxes. Next thing I know, I'm looking at cards that I identify as cool cards that have value. And I just started going through boxes. Next thing I know, I says, I'm just going to go through this one box. But then like people around me are like shuffling boxes all over the place. Next thing you know, another fresh box lands right next to me. I don't even have to get up and get it. It just lands right next to me. I says, well, if I looked at this one, I might as well go ahead and look at this one too. Next thing you know, 2.5 hours went by, and I was still sitting at this dollar box booth, and bought a big old lot of cards that they're going to be mainly for my eBay store. And I'll show you guys a video on that here this week. But then what I would do, the singles club kind of became my central hub, my recover center, right? So I would go out and walk the showroom floor for 2 or 3 hours. Then I'd come back to the singles club and have a seat again. And then I would just, I'd pluck out some cards, then go back out and I did that a few times, and that really helped. Because like I said, there's very few places to sit. In the VIP room, I would go over there and it was packed. And it's just like, wow, okay. I don't know where to sit, so that was very, very helpful. And that was a little hack strategy there that I developed to relieve my dogs from pain. But overall, I'm going to tell you the 2022 National Sports Card Convention in Atlantic City didn't disappoint. Not a single bit. I guess it's one of them things where the good far outweighed the bad. And that's really my main takeaway in this entire week was I don't know where you're going to find a perfect show. And I don't know what your expectations are, or, I think there's no perfect show. It's everything's going to be, no matter where we go, there's going to be things that are imperfect. There's going to be situations that happen to us. And I know a YouTuber who, on his way to the show got a flat tire, and just things like that. Things happen, right? It doesn't make the show bad. It's just life. But overall, I can tell you that the vibe was exciting. The vibe was joyful. And I can assure you, my friends, that the hobby is very strong and very healthy. And as a matter of fact, I can tell you that I have no regrets on going to this year's National. Not a single inkling of regret on going to the National this year. It's one of them things where I have, I believe in a quote that says, plan your work your plan. And the plan for the 2023 in Chicago for me starts today. It's to me, it's that important. To me, it's worth it. And I can't wait till next year. And it's that simple. Wanted to say thank you to Ray Schulte and his team for putting this event on. I know I guess their contract ends next year in 2023 in Chicago, and the National is going to be under new management from what I'm hearing and reading. But a big time thank you to Ray and his team. A big time thank you. They even gave out media passes. I ended up getting a media pass this year, and that opted me the opportunity to do a couple of things differently. So overall, you guys, I'm gonna tell you, what an amazing week. And hope this was helpful. And stay tuned. In a couple days, I'm going to drop the video of my primary pickups, and that'll be my big boy cards. With that said, thanks for tuning in. Hey, check out Sports Card Hall of Fame Network. We are on YouTube and Facebook. Check those channels out. Subscribe to that. Check us out on Hobby Hotline. Make sure to on Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock and on Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. you can catch us there. Don't forget, like, comment, and share this video if you like it. Give it a thumbs up. I appreciate you tuning in, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.